Oh, we're back, bitches. So, guys, listen, this is the Eden Army Podcast. I'm your host tonight, Pete Robertucci. This is August, what is it, Russ? 27th, Season 2, Episode 29-ish. We're coming to you live on YouTube, Facebook, X, and Kick.com. Before we get started, I'd like to thank, who do I need to thank tonight? Fireman Ed and Miss Terry for your resubs. And don't forget, guys, to like, share, and subscribe if you enjoy what we're doing here. If you don't enjoy it, that's cool too. Don't like, don't share, don't subscribe. We get it. But it helps us get our information in front of more people. So that's kind of cool. Russ, who's on kick.com? Looks like the mess of merry men and women are out there. I see Patrick Sevens in the house. Rev made it. I think Diana was the first in chat. And then, of course, Miss Terry, I think I saw guys in there. Bullshite. Yeah, so anyway, it's blowing up over there on kick.com. So I know, guys, some of y'all are looking at us on watching us on other platforms. That's cool, too. But all the cool kids are hanging out at kick.com/Eden Army. So feel free to, yeah, I got you, Egghead. The news network is not going to be playing tonight. So actually, we're going to be doing something a little bit different tonight, guys. We're going to be talking about prepping on a budget. Somebody asked me to talk about this. They sent me some information, and it's kind of a timely thing because I came across an article by a gentleman who runs a website, survivalsullivan.com, and it was on this very subject. And I thought it would make for great discussion because I constantly hear time and time again how prepping is too expensive. Prepping's too expensive. I can't do it. I'm watching all these online guys. I'm reading all these post-apocalyptic books, and they got all this cool stuff, and I just can't do it. So tonight, we're going to take a practical look at it. And I've actually put together something we can throw up on the screen, and we're going to work through it all together. And I want you guys, look, I know we shoot the crap a lot in chat, which I love, by the way, but keep chat going tonight because there's going to be several places, and hopefully it's not death by PowerPoint, but there's going to be several places within the PowerPoint. I want to hear how you would spend your money if you had a certain amount of money. And I want to know how you would prioritize spending that money if you had a certain amount of money, whatever that amount is. But first, before I even do this, the prep of the week this week, I want to know what you did this week, but next week I've got a mission for you. And I'm gonna tell you or ask you to accomplish a prep of the week. And next week, when the podcast comes on, I want you to tell me if you accomplished the tribe's prep of the week. But first, let's pay some bills. We're going to get at it. The Eden Army Podcast is proud to be sponsored by Preparedness Health Systems, your one-stop shop for research-grade peptides and GLPs. Preparedness is not just about food, water, and defense. It's about understanding health, longevity, and resilience in a tough world. Preparedness Health Systems provides research-grade products for those serious about education, preparedness, and staying ahead of the curve. Email Preparedness Health Systems at preparednesshealth@yahoo.com. Proud sponsor of the Eden Army Podcast. Research use solely, not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. And thank you, Troy, for signing up for another week. Hopefully you're getting some business out of the tribe. What's going on, guys? Big Tony from Alpha 42's back in the house. The Wizard of Oz, Russ, is in the house. What's going on, Russ? We'll start with you, brother.
Oh, another day in lovely Birchwood, brother. The weather's been nice. It is what it is.
Perfect. I like it. And Tony, you actually do have a house, all right? You're not in the raper van today, which is cool. What's going on, brother? Oh, I got this. He's paused. I got him. I'll fix him. Guess you muted yourself.
Yep.
There you go. What's going on, man?
Nothing, man. You're assuming this is my house, but that's fine. It doesn't matter. The people won't be back before we're done, so it'll be all right.
Or it's a safe house. One of the two.
Yeah. What's important is I'm here.
That is. Guys, look, I know here's what I've decided to do. Like last week, we went through the BS session. We kind of just shot the crap for a little while. This week, we need to get into what this podcast was originally started for, and that's learning about preparedness. And I came across a really good topic, and I think we need to nail it. Next week, we'll get back to Egghead News. I'm with you, Egghead. We'll get back to that. But this week is going to be all about preparing on a budget. So, guys, if it's all right with you, I say we just dive into it. What do you say?
Head first, brother.
All right, guys. So, look, I was asked to do this because there's a lot of questions going on in my group and other groups about, look, you guys can prepare. You guys are preppers that I read about in these post-apocalyptic books they're all rich. They got all their stuff together. You don't have to be rich to be prepared. Tonight's podcast, guys, we're gonna tell you that preparedness starts with what you already have. Have we even done an inventory yet? And preparedness also starts with consistency and planning. Look, I know there's a lot of cool cats in preparedness, right? There's a lot of, I love sitting around the campfire, hammerjacking some bourbon, talking to everybody. But at some point, preparedness has to stop being a party and start being serious, right? And that's how you can always tell the serious people. I break it down, guys, into two groups. The guys that are into preparedness because they like to hang out with the preparedness people, and the guys are into preparedness, or the girls, well, let's be appropriate here, that are into preparedness because they're actually prioritizing the goals for their family. So I don't know, maybe Russ, maybe you got a different take on that. But
no, I 100% agree with that. And, you know, we all have our different levels of preparedness. And I was asked by Mark McGrath. I'm gonna throw him under the bus. He was listening to my first book, and he asked me, he said, "Man, Russ, are you really as prepared as what you have written?" And I said, "Absolutely not." I said, "That's my perfect world. That's where I strive to be." But you have to start somewhere, and that's why we're talking about prepping on a budget tonight.
That is. And Tony, you're kind of new to the tribe. I don't know where you're at in your preparedness world, but I know you're the head of your household. I know you're a spiritual man, so I think that you feel a little bit like I do, that as the head of the household, you have an obligation to prepare your family and yourself for many different things. So I don't know, maybe you got a different take on it. You've only been to a few events, or sitting around the campfire. Look, Elkton, Florida does not count, by the way. That was different. But what's your take? Do you see in now that you're kind of new to being a vendor at these things, are you starting to already see the difference, or you're just not quite there yet?
No, I mean, so big difference between being somebody that has always strived to be self-sustaining, and have a state of readiness, and being a vendor, for sure. It's a totally different vantage point, because you're forced to be immersed with other people that are preparing, right? Guys like y'all, there, whether you're writing books, whether you're selling some goods, or just some intellectual property that you have at these shows and stuff, right? So it is a lot easier because you have direct access to a lot of people's knowledge and equipment. You still have to buy it, so you still have to have the money. But for me, I think being born and raised in Florida with hurricanes and those things, and going in the military, it's been a part of my life. It always has, and became a real thing just prior to COVID, and then COVID kind of solidified it as
I agree, and it made COVID a lot easier, and it helped.
Sure.
COVID's one thing that helped my family get more involved in preparedness. But tonight's show, we're going to look at what everybody already owns. Like, preparedness is so expensive. Well, what do you already own? What do you actually need? Where are you spending your money? Are you prioritizing? Where can you save money? And there are certain things that you should do that you really shouldn't skimp out on. So we're going to talk about that. And one thing, guys, skills cost nothing. Taking a class at Mountain Readiness costs nothing other than a ticket. If you're a part of a group, taking a class or sitting in on a class that somebody may come and teach, or one of the members is teaching, costs absolutely nothing. So we're going to look at that, and what could we really accomplish with something like $100? What could we accomplish? What could we prioritize? What could we spend that on? So there's a lot of stuff we're going to go over tonight. We might, I mentioned to you guys in the green room, we might go a little bit long tonight. Guys in chat, stick with us if you can. It's a lot of good information. And all of this information is also on the Eden Army Survival and Outdoors page. I uploaded the PowerPoint prior to doing this. So hopefully we get something out of it, or you can go back and look at it. But I think before we spend $1, we need to talk about how preparedness is actually built. How does it actually get built? So it doesn't happen all at once. You can't get on Amazon and just buy everything you need, put it on credit card. There's another quote in here. It goes, "Don't prepare to go broke by going broke." Right. And that's what a lot of people in my group, I'm seeing that a lot. They want to buy all this stuff and they're just spending way too much money on stuff they don't actually need. So guys, start with what you have. Look around your house. What do you have as inventory? It was funny because it's going to be hard to see, but I'll put my cup up. These are those little floss things. I don't know if you guys ever seen them. I happen to have a bag of like 9,000 of these in the writing shack here. So I'm thinking about it. What do I already have? I have 9,000 of these things. Do you think I could take a Ziploc back, put 1,000 of these in and put it in my prep? I probably could. It's something I already have. And then I also looked identifying weaknesses. I say, "Oh, Preet, you don't have any weaknesses. I just saw this fucking picture of you in the gym. Oh, you're a strong guy." No, the reason I'm in a gym is because I prioritize my physical fitness, because when I'm running around with all these runners and gunners and all these young guys and I'm huffing and I can't keep up with them, I only got 1 or 2 good runs in me before I got to tap out. That's a problem for me. So I prioritize my weakness. Tony, what's the one thing that you look at that you might need to prioritize, do you think?
It's starting out or where I'm at now? What, right
now, like right now, what do you need? In self reflection, what do you need to prioritize?
For me, it's always going to be having the right mentality. To me, that's, I don't care whether you have everything or you have nothing. You're just starting. You have to have the right mindset and the mental, clarity and strength to go forward with any of it, because that's really what's going to give you the staying power. It's going to help you where you don't spend money where you don't need to, because you're going to really, like you were saying earlier, analyze where you're at, who you are, and what you're worried about. And if you do those things, you're not going to go out and buy, a tank when you don't have any rice on the shelf, so to speak.
Yeah, great point.
But you got to be strong enough. Yeah, you got to be strong enough to do that, and that's free. Libraries are free. You can go read up on stuff. Internet's pretty much free. Mm-hmm. So you can sit there before you have $1 in your pocket and get your mind right. So yeah. I'll always be there. Before you spend a dime, you should do research and understand what you're getting into as you grow. Not everybody has a bunker. I don't have a bunker. If I was ever to have the money for a bunker, I'm going to research it.
Right.
I'm going to understand, ventilation systems and steel doors, ballistic doors, all this other stuff, So it's the same thing if you're starting out, like you said. I don't have anything. What do I do? Well, get smart.
Yeah, and like you said, that's free.
Yeah,
Russ, what do you prioritize once you get back to the real world?
When I get back to the real world, it's going to have to be, and it really goes hand in hand with what Tony was saying. Is mine personally is physical health. I have to get physically better to be able to do what I want to have my end mission be. Right. And in order to do that, I have to get mentally strong enough to do what I want to do.
Right. So you have a goal and you realize one of your weaknesses of that goal is your physical ability to accomplish that goal. Yeah. So there's a starting point. And how much is that going to cost you, Russ?
Yeah.
Not a thing.
Not a freaking thing. Right?
I mean, I can wait till later, or we can talk about it now, because all the prepping you do and everything, it's going to be all for naught.
Yeah, no, we'll talk about the work. I got
yeah.
you slated for that one later.
Alrighty.
So you can hurt my feelings later on that one. The other thing, guys, set a realistic budget. Don't go broke by planning to go broke. You know what I'm saying? Don't do that. Don't. Your biggest worry in life is a financial collapse. I'm going to spend all my money right now on all this Gucci gear or all this prepping supplies. Dumb idea. You have to be fiscally responsible. And at the end of the day, like there are some people there that throw in $1,000 for this or $1,000 for that is no big deal. I'm not that guy, right?
Yeah.
First of all, good luck prying $1,000 out of my wallet. That ain't happening. But what I did realize I have to do is build a little bit at a time. And how do we do that, guys? Well, hell, we're going to talk about it. When you go to the store, buy an extra can of vegetables. You're not going to notice that 39-cent can of vegetables. I promise you, you're not going to do that. And life skills or learning survival techniques or learning how you best fit in with your group or your tribe goes a long way, right? A lot of things can be overcome from a prepping standpoint if you bring something to the table. Find out what you bring to the table. Make yourself marketable, right? It seems
Exactly.
simple to me, but apparently that's just something that just goes by the wayside. So the question for chat, guys, for this particular slide, if you had $50 to spend on preparedness this week, $50, we hand you $50. We do a drawing, we give you $50. What are you going to buy with it? Throw it in chat, and we'll talk about it as we go. But we'll let that soak for a little bit.
I'll pin them.
Go ahead, Russ.
I said I'll make sure I pin those so we can get back to them.
Yeah, just pop them up if you want, and we'll talk about them. But one thing you had mentioned earlier, Tony, was another thing that's free is, and look, I've been harping on this for the last few weeks because I realize that, look, this is my deficit. My physical ability was my deficit. So what are some of the things that you can do, T, that absolutely 100% for free, that it gets your physical ability back up?
Well, I'm big on, regardless of your age, right, and what physical ailments you have. I mean, I'm getting old, I'm getting pretty old now at this point, but maybe you can't run as fast as you used to. And if you can't run, then you can always lift. And if you can't lift for some reason, then you can run. And maybe you can't run or lift as much as you used to, but one thing you can always do is you can always walk. And you can put some miles on your feet, get your legs strong. And as you feel like you're in a good place with walking, you can add some weight. It's not always about being fast, but it's about being there in the end, right? So regardless of where you're at, and I understand some people have physical limitations, but they're not physical barriers, right? So you have to learn and figure out how you're going to work around them, because God forbid any of our scenarios happen. You making the excuse, well, I just couldn't, isn't going to fly in those times, right? So you need to know how you're going to work around your limitations, right? If you can't run, then don't wait too long before you leave, right?
Right.
If you're not real strong, and even if you're working to get stronger, maybe you shouldn't be out rolling around with a bear, so to speak.
Right.
You know what I mean? But the goal is to continue to work, because the way you carry yourself physically affects you mentally. You can say whatever you want on a podcast or when you're sitting with your friends, but you know whether you're ready for it or not, unless you're just lying to yourself.
Right.
And there's not a person in the world that doesn't get done working out and doesn't feel better, that doesn't have better mental clarity, and isn't better prepared for the day and what comes with it. So I'm big on going out and taking a walk. If you can't do it at the beginning of the day, fit it in at the end. It's great to do it with family. You can do it with friends and stuff, have great conversations, brings you clarity, but you're also getting in shape, man.
You know, it's a good point, because I always, our friend Millie, who's an author in the genre, she was posting last summer all these hikes she was doing with her family. And every time I saw one of those, she was doing a hike a week. And I was just so uplifted by that for some reason. I don't know why, but it just it uplifted me, and it just seemed like, look, I don't care how many 1,000 pounds of rice you have, if you're not starting there, and not only that, but you're spending time with your family.
Exactly.
Let's see. Egghead said if he had $50, he'd buy water containers. Great start. I love that. Someone's asking me, where do I buy a can of, I saw mixed vegetables at Aldi's yesterday while I was going to the gym for 39 cents a can. So it's out there. You just got to look for it. You can't be too proud.
The dollar stores. Yeah, the dollar stores, they carry all kinds of food now. Was it the Family Dollar and the DG grocery store now?
Up here in Birchwood, they pretty much are putting the local
grocery store out of business.
Out of business because they moved into town last year or the year before. And I'll go in there and I'll look every now and then. They'll have corned beef hash for $2 a can. Yeah, that's a great price for corned beef hash. By the way,
absolutely.
Yeah. That's what we used to eat when we were poor. I don't know what happened to that.
Oh, well, I love it.
I love that stuff.
I do too. But you're right. You're right. Yeah. We used to eat that when we were poor and we hated it. Now I love it. Will says he'd buy food like that. Skidmore says last week did $50 on new backpacks and solar kettle from Patriots. That was a good deal. I probably should have picked that one up.
Yeah, and a couple of people have actually mentioned books. Bullshite mentioned the Peterson guides, and who was it? Diana, I believe, said buying a couple of books for skills that she needs. It's a physical library, folks. Paper, as long as you keep it dry.
I'll do a corny little plug. There's a couple books that I have on my site, and they're written by other people, but it really doesn't even get too much into the actual products. It's understanding what the environment may throw at you and giving you the mindset and the structure to go about it. Kind of like your first one. Start with what you have. You got to know what you have to know what you're missing, and you have to understand what it is that you feel like may happen. Like if you're planning for zombies, you're probably missing out on a whole lot of other stuff.
100%. Plan for what's practically going to happen, not the worst case scenario.
Yeah, for sure.
Miss Terry says she's going to buy more meat to pressure can. I like it. So look, you guys are awesome because you're in the tribe. So you kind of know Second Wind Adventures, Mr. Jerry, or it might even be Donna. If I was starting, I'd get a Life Star and a Fire Starter. I like both of those.
Yeah.
And shout out to Jerry. He's doing well after his little procedure.
Yeah. Sandra says she shops at Aldi. I was in there yesterday. Aldi's mixed vegetables, 39 cents a can. And then at some points, Publix, which is a southern supermarket, they'll do buy one get one free. So you might even look. Let's pretend you can't buy it for 39 cents a can. Let's pretend that. So are we clipping coupons? You ever watch that coupon friggin'
extreme couponing?
Yeah. These people actually get paid to go shop. I don't know how all that works. I need to get Melissa on that because that's right up my alley. But what I'm saying is there's a will, there's a way. And I can honestly say that if I didn't feel all right, like a little can of that stuff right there up here in Wisconsin costs about $15.
Yeah.
Look, I'd be doing away with this in a heartbeat if I didn't have food prepped. It'd be a no-brainer for me. I wouldn't have my guns if I didn't have food prepped.
$50 goes a long way, especially if you're just starting. I mean, you think about 5 cans of black beans, 2 pounds of rice. You're at $7-8. You go get you a flashlight and a couple batteries. You get you a fire starter, and you can still fit in a Life Straw. And you put it in a $5 book bag that you buy off of, if you don't already have one, off of Facebook Marketplace. Put it all in there, and it take off the shelf what you need, and you're much further down the road than you realize. And
how many of us go to secondhand stores, right? Yeah, I mean, and so if you don't have a backpack, go to a secondhand store every now and then. You might just find one. So
all kinds of camping stuff on Facebook Marketplace that'll fill, for cooking and things like that. You have a grill outside. There's your backup if power goes out. You have a grill. Use your grill. But do you have charcoal or do you have propane? Do you have it ready during the storm season? Hurricane season if you're in Florida, or monsoon season, or the dry season, whatever.
Right.
So again, you got to know what you have. And if you know what you have and you study, back to the book reading, like Russ was saying, then you're going to have a better understanding of what you need to go get.
Well, and it's a great point, Tony, because the actual next slide is, look, first of all, there's no universal amount that you can spend. $50 is going to buy you water, buy this, that. Look, that depends on your needs, right? I get that. But knowing what you had is the very first step you should do before you buy anything. Before you buy anything, you should know what you have on hand. My buddy Jason has all this crap. He has so much prepping stuff. It makes your eyeballs friggin' float, right? But I'm a list guy.
Yeah.
Right. I need to know what I have. I need to, if I have a bin of food, I want on the top of that bin of food, I want to know what's exactly in that bin. Jason is spending money left, right, and center because he doesn't think he has earbuds for his comms equipment, but he's got 35 of them that he finds after he buys the new ones from Amazon.
Yeah.
Right. So identify what you have before you spend the money. I don't mean to pick on Jason. The only reason I'm kind of picking on him because it's true. So identify what you have, inventory what you have, what food do you have, what water containers do you have, blankets, flasks, batteries, all that stuff. What do you have before you spend money on it?
Sorry, it's that list is huge because like I've been doing it for 8-9 years now, and I'll tell you, I've accumulated a lot of stuff. And if you don't go back in there, and first of all, you should be checking what you have and having lists because you should be rotating your food, unless it's 25 year shelf life, and at some point you'll have to rotate that too. But you need to be rotating your batteries, you need to be rotating your food, and it's a great way to make sure that you're doing that by having a list and going in and putting your hands on everything, maintaining stuff, whether it's long-term food storage or whatever. And that's a great way of saving money and get you ahead to that next thing that you should be prioritizing.
Well, right. And one way to save money, guys, is, and I was guilty of this when I first started out, was buying that survival food, right? Buying that freeze-dried survival food.
Yeah.
First of all, you can buy a whole bunch of beans and rice for the price of one of those survival buckets that doesn't even have the caloric intake that you really need.
Yeah. That you'll actually eat too.
That you'll actually
beans and rice you'll actually eat.
Right. So but and then back to the canned food point is, if you're already buying food, you like to buy those canned goods, buy an extra one.
Yeah.
Or find a deal on it.
Just each week you go in the grocery store, grab an extra can of beans, maybe 2, that's $2, and buy a pound of rice. That's about $2-3 depending on which rice you want to get. That's $5. And I guarantee you, for the most part, anybody that says they can't afford $5 a week to stock their shelf, if their shelf's not already stocked, I bet you they're drinking soda, smoking cigarettes, or eating at Wendy's one day a week.
Well,
when you can make 2 or 3 meals out of that for your family and won't even realize it. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And I'm not telling you not to go to Wendy's. I like Wendy's, but what I'm saying is maybe one day you don't go, or you don't look at it as like, well, I'll never use it. I feel like I'm wasting my money. You're not wasting it. And you know what I mean? The whole thing, you're going to eat it. You know what I mean? At some point you should be eating all this food that you're putting on the shelf. You're not buying it just for it to sit there. And then if an emergency never happens, you throw it away. It's not the way it works.
Well, and one thing I get a little, I'm not going to say tired of, but I get, I get tired of hearing is, look, we can't afford that. Well, do you have a gun? When's the last time you actually used your gun in self-defense? Now, look, I'm not saying guns are important. I get that. I understand. Security is very, very, very important. But don't say you can't afford this when you have all this other Gucci gear, right? And all this survival. I got to have this survival stove. No, I got a Coleman that hooks up to propane that I've had for 30 years. Guess what? Mm-hmm. Kind of works.
Yeah.
So inventory what you have, guys.
Yeah, and this is all like guidance with that. You got to buy what brings you peace of mind, because that's really what this is about. But it should be based on something is the gist of it. If you want to spend a lot of money on something because you're more comfortable with it, it's cool. The point is, a budget is all a matter of perspective anyway, right? But everybody should have a budget so you're buying the right things at the right time. And I think really everybody will see at the end of this, that's what this is about. Not telling you to go out and buy inexpensive stuff, because you shouldn't be spending a lot of stuff. It's buying the right thing for you at the right time.
Back to prioritizing.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly.
Back to prioritizing. I made a couple of notes here. A normal flashlight is still a flashlight, right? You don't need an O-light. You don't need this. You don't need that. Flashlight's a flashlight. If you can afford that, buy a friggin' regular flashlight. If you already have one, Better yet, make sure you got batteries for it. Another note: a normal blanket's still a blanket. You don't need the 0 degree down-filled sleeping bag because that's got prepper on it or it's got whatever on it. And back what I said, a camping stove is a camping stove is a camping stove.
We'll get the basic necessities and then upgrade, right? Get everything that you need and then take a step back and say, okay, I've got everything. Let me save up now because I really want this version of that thing.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? But you have your bases covered, gives you peace of mind, right? Knowing that you can, at a minimum, take care of those needs. But I mean, there's nothing wrong with liking nice stuff. It's cool, but it shouldn't come at the expense of something else you really need.
Right, exactly. Russ, what's that one item that you realize you already owned once you started prepping? Like before you even started prepping, you go back and you look like, oh, I already have a tent, or I already have this, or I already have that. Does any of that come to your mind at all?
A lot of it had to do with, when Teresa and I were living in New Mexico and living in Montana, we did a lot of camping, tent camping.
Mm-hmm.
And so we had the Coleman stoves and the Coleman lanterns. And as long as we had propane or white gas, we could cook. And when we moved to South Carolina and really started to take the leap into preparedness, Hurricane Matthew.
Sure.
And several of the other hurricanes, we cooked on a Coleman stove. Teresa cooked on a Coleman stove in the back, off the back porch, and it works.
It works. And look, you were cooking on the back porch for a realistic preparedness scenario that you were going through, right?
Yeah.
So you were actually using something you didn't have to spend any extra money on that happened to say survival gear or you saw on whatever podcast, whatever. You already had it.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the same with, when we're talking about firearms. I have shot, bargain basement ones, and I've shot some that are way out of my price range. But you know what? I shoot pretty much the same with all of them.
Right.
If you can afford and upgrade like an optic, if that's what you want, then yeah, eventually upgrade. But I spent 20 years in the military shooting an M16A2 with iron sights, and I would take that over one with an optic most days.
Yeah, and Russ, I'm gonna be the stick in the mud here again. I'm gonna be the guy that look. I'm a tactics guy. I get it. I
Mhm.
understand. I like cool gear, but if someone's buying $1,000 EOTech or $2,000 EOTech or whatever it might be, when they've only got a week's worth of food in their pantry, it ain't flying with me anymore.
Yeah,
I'm
I
done with
agree.
that. I'm
I
over
100%
that.
agree.
I mean, I get. Look, I'm a firearms instructor. So that I'm like shooting myself in the foot, no pun intended, right? But at the end of the day, if you're into preparedness, you're into preparedness. If you've already got a gun, great. You don't need to upgrade your optic to the latest and greatest because
Nope.
Instructor Zero or Instructor Hero or Joe this guy or whomever.
You saw it on Call of Duty,
But doesn't make any sense. Guys, before I go to the next slide, I got to give a shout out. I see baby girls in the chat.
Mm-hmm.
I want to give a shout out to my young daughter, 24 years old. She's met her. She's visiting her boyfriend over in Pennsylvania this week, and it's his birthday. Happy birthday, Jake! By the way, she asked Jake, "What do you want for dinner?" What do you want for dinner? And I'm gonna make you this dinner. So Jake says, I want fettuccine Alfredo. Simple enough, right? You go to Aldi's, you get a jar of fettuccine or Alfredo sauce, you throw it on the thing. Brenda says, all right, I'll make that, but I'm making it from scratch. Now, if you guys ever made Alfredo sauce from scratch, that's no easy task, first of all. Second of all, this young lady is now feeding this young man's mother and husband. They were coming over for dinner. So now she's a ball of stress and she's tackling a very tough dish. So she nailed it. There were no leftovers. Everybody got seconds. And I think her new boyfriend, Jake from State Farm, I think he was amazed that this young lady could, in this day and age, make something from scratch. So good job, baby girl. I'm very proud of you. Dad's very, very proud of you.
Now
So
she
good
just
stuff.
needs to recreate it when she gets back up here.
Well, that's what Melissa said yesterday. She goes, but what is all this cooking going on? Because we don't see that shit when you're here with us. So we've got her. So now when she gets back up here, her job is going to be to cook every Tuesday before Red Rock.
Absolutely.
So that's going to be the deal. All right, guys, back to the PowerPoint. So now that we know what we have, because you've done an inventory, now we have to decide what deserves our time and money, right? Build compatibility first. Prioritize your basics. Water, food, shelter, medical, light, and fire, right? Warmth. Let's talk about warmth. That's priority. We talked about that the other day, right? The three-minute rule, the 3-week rule, the three all that bullshit rule, the 3-second rule with mindset, even mindset being free. So, but let's talk about like how do we prioritize our money? First of all, you find out what your weaknesses are. If you've got a weakness in water, guess what? That's where your money goes. That's where your money goes. Hands down, once you accomplish everything, filtration, purification, and storage, move to the next thing, food. Make it simple. I'm a guy that likes simple stuff, right? I'm pretty dumb. So make it as simple as possible, and that makes me kind of happy.
You'd have made a good Marine, Pete.
Just tell me what wall to run through. Mark it with a red crayon, I'll blast through it. One thing we need to know, how much water you have in your house right now, how much are you capable of getting, how much are you capable of purifying, all right? So starting with prioritizing. Food, think about calories, nutrition, and shelf life, and what you actually eat. Shelter, staying warm, staying cool, keeping the weather out, backup heat, blankets, tarps, and repair materials. Medical, one of the things you shouldn't skip on, right? First aid, trauma, and medications. Medications are used. These are the hardest things. Medication, especially prescription medications, are the hardest things to prep for because they're only going to give you 30 days or 90 days, depending on what the medication is. So big stuff. And then light and fire, like flashlight, batteries, lighter. So what am I missing at all this? What am I missing? Because we're going to harp on this again. We got the water, food, shelter, medical, light and fire. Russ, has anybody ever told you, I don't need to prep this stuff because I got guns and I'm just going to come take it? You ever heard that? I'm just going to come to your
I have
house.
heard that. I've heard that, and that was brought up again this week by our good friend Bob Toombs over on X. He brought that up, and he was having a little fun with this gentleman over there who said that very same thing. Well, knowing the people that I know and the people that I trust and hang out with, that would not bode well if they came to any of those places.
I love those guys. I love it. I just put them on a little list. There's a guy at a local gun shop who happens to know a mutual friend. And there was a conversation with an outside party, outside of our group, that said, hey, you know this guy? The guy goes, yeah, I know that guy. He's a big prepper. I know right where he lives. I'm going to go take his stuff. Guess what Pete did? Okay, got him.
Yep.
Got him. Check mark. Good to go. But
written in red lipstick.
Well, exactly. Look, security is important. I get that. I understand that. But back to what I was saying before, if you're neglecting all of these things that are going to kill you first, in a realistic scenario that you might actually face, you're doing yourself and your family a disservice. That's just the way it is. Again, I've gone through 20 hurricanes in my life. Never had to shoot my firearm one time. Okay. At home, right? Never had to do that. So prepare for what is likely to happen before spending everything on what the gurus on the internet are going to tell you that's going to happen. The zombies, like you said, zombies are going to come get us, right? Got a financial collapse happening. No, more likely, prioritize what's going to happen if you have a flood like happened in Nepal, or you do something like a hurricane, or you're in a big drought situation like right up here, or an earthquake or something like that. Your money's going to be better spent. So one of the easiest places to start building real compatibility cheaply is food. The easiest way to do that's food. And water, right? The last mutual assistance group I audited had a really great system. They had I guess one of the ladies drank a lot of Sprite, like a crazy amount of Sprite. Well, what they were doing is they were taking those 2 liter containers and filling them with water. I thought, okay, makes sense. Another good trick is all those canning jars that are sitting on your shelf waiting for you to pressure can something. When a hurricane's on the way, why don't you fill those with water?
Mm-hmm.
Save your milk jugs if you drink milk.
Yep.
It's just common sense stuff,
Know
in my
how.
opinion.
Yeah, know how to drain your water heater for extra water.
Yeah, I'm actually the next survival manual I'm going to do is on shelter, but it's not going to go into that. I think it's going to be the things that you can get from. Anyway, I got an idea and a plan for that. So
Okay.
it's going to be it's something in that talking about stuff like that.
Hey, before you jump off this slide,
Go.
that's all right. No, you're good. You can stay
No,
here.
no.
I would say that when you're taking a look at what you got, like from the slide before this, and you don't need to go back, but you need to look at your lifestyle too. Where do you spend the majority of your time? Are you on the road, transition back and forth to work? Do you work on the road in a semi truck? Are you a plumber or an electrician where you're in your work vehicle all the time, or are you at home in a homestead? And then take a look at that list right here. Yeah, take a look at this list and say, when I go out to fill these needs, what works for my lifestyle too? You know what I mean? Like, can you carry around 40 gallons of water if you're in your truck all the time? Technically, but you're not going to get out and walk with it, right? So maybe that's a Life Straw or something like that, or a Sawyer. But if you're at home the majority of the time, then you get storage, and that could be a Berkeley you get off the marketplace, or a brand new one, or just some water containers with some iodine tablets, which it doesn't taste great, but you can at least drink it, or you can boil it. So those are all different lifestyles that you need water for, but you need it in a different fashion. So again, you have to take a step back, and when you're annotating what you do and don't have, a big part of that is, what is your lifestyle and where do you spend a majority? I have a friend that he literally only leaves his house to go to the grocery store into town. Of course, he has a great little piece of property. Lives in a cabin up in the woods, so he doesn't really need to leave because that's his lifestyle. But he had to totally plan different. We had a lot of conversations about what are you going to run into more likely when you're out on the road, and how are you going to get back home, and all this, because he has to cross bridges. There's large bodies of water, lakes and rivers. He could get stuck on the other side. So what do you do? Right. So, and that goes into it. So if you spend all your money on house stuff or on the best stuff, you don't have enough stuff for your vehicle, so to speak. Right.
So prioritize where you're spending most of your time. Prioritize everything. Prioritize what kind of food you eat, so you can prep that instead of buying the expensive survival food. Some of the food items you can buy. I stock a lot of this stuff is rice, beans, pasta, oats, canned meat, canned vegetables. Now, when I get to canned meat, it's mostly corned beef hash, but that counts. Peanut butter, cooking oil, flour, sugar, and salt, and shelf-stable food that
you can always get better. You know what I mean? That the goal is, if you're on a limited budget, which is the focus of today, whatever you consider a limited budget is. But if you're on a limited budget, then you fulfill these needs. And then as you get in a better situation in life, then you can, finger quote, upgrade, so to speak, whatever all those things are. Get a better water filtration system or container. Get one of those photon lighters or whatever, you know what I mean, instead of just a flint one, and et cetera, et cetera. But you got to start with something. And if the excuse is I don't have any money, I think we can answer that today. There's a lot of ways of doing it. I'll say this as a guy that has a store that sells all kinds of stuff, including armor. A lot of people on the internet are selling crap. It doesn't mean that's the crap that you need. Eventually, maybe you'll want to get it, and it's great. You know what I mean? Guns is a great example. Get something. If you only have $100, go get you a Turkish shotgun. There's a start, and then move on to something else. There's always more stuff that you can get. And I sell armor, and it's not cheap. And you can start with a backpack panel or soft armor, which is affordable, and it's a start. But even then, you need to have something on the shelf, to to be for it to be worth fighting for, so to speak.
100%. And guys, if you buy one extra item a week, that's a pantry at the end of the year. That's 50 extra items you have at the end of the year, shelf stable items. So it's a start. It seems simple to me. I don't
52, 26 cans of beans and 26 pounds of rice.
There you go.
Just one thing a week.
There you go. Where not to go cheap, guys. Water filtration. Bad water will kill you. Medical equipment. I know. I'm sounding a little like a hypocrite here, but when I talk about medical equipment, I talk about life-saving equipment that you need on a regular basis when it comes to that. And then cold weather sleeping gear if you live in that environment. I don't go cheap on my footwear. I have one pair of good shoes. The rest of the time, you guys know me. I'm in my tactical sandals most of the time. Regardless of, I'm in my tactical sandals. But I do have one good pair of shoes and or boots. They got vehicle tires on here, critical tools, and equipment your actual safety depends on. Rules. Save money when you can, spend money when you have to. Flour is used for more than you think. That's what I told Miss Melissa Cheese Doodle. That's what I told Mom. We're stockpiling a whole bunch of pasta, which was taking up a lot of room. I said, we have chickens and we have flour, and baby girl knows how to make a damn good pasta. So let's stop with that. Let's put that money somewhere else. Let's put that storage space somewhere else. We can make our own pasta.
Hey, that we're not to go cheap. Buy the best quality that you can afford, but you don't have to buy it new. You kind of spoke on the thrift store, marketplace, whatnot. All these different places you can get high quality stuff. It might be used, but there are people all the time, because we're a consumer centric society, that buy stuff, they don't like it, and they wear it one time or even try it on, and then they sell it for 2/3 or half what it's worth, or what they paid for it. And it's a great opportunity to get in there and get something that is very important to last long,
Absolutely. And somebody in chat mentioned garage sales.
There too.
I mean, pennies on the dollar when you get stuff there, especially tools, hand tools
for sure.
Because fishing rods.
Russ, what's that one preparedness item you refuse to go cheap on?
Medical equipment, medical supplies.
Right, because your lifestyle, well, shit, you depend on that, right?
So
look, you're prioritizing that. So good stuff.
And that's what I'd spend my $50 on this week.
Yep, you did. There you go. Here's my stickler here. Everything doesn't cost money. Knowledge doesn't need batteries. If you have the opportunity to learn first aid, fire start, you can learn first aid at your fire department. They will teach you. They will put you through a CPR class. They can put you through a stop the bleed class, some of them. Stuff that makes yourself valuable to an organization. First aid, fire starting, land nav, gardening, food preservation. Look, my wife's not going to be the person that's going to run behind an AR-15. She's not that gal, I promise you. Cheese Doodle? Absolutely. Miss Melissa is not doing it. But you know what Miss Melissa brings to the table? Give her a deer and a pressure canner. And
now she'll cry the entire time.
She'll cry, but you're going to have protein for quite a while. Cooking without power. Baby girl's going on a camping trip this weekend, and her boyfriend was like, "Oh, I need to get the Coleman stove out. I don't know if it's working." Brianna says, "We got a stick and some hot dogs. We can cook. We can cook."
Your daughter. Definitely your daughter.
You know what I mean? You don't have to go out and buy stuff. You don't have to buy a pot and a pan if you don't have it, or like a fancy griddle set up for your campfire. Baby girl's going to take that cast iron pan. She's going to put it right on them hot coals, right? She's going to make it happen. So these are all skills that you can learn. And in this day and age of YouTube and everything else, if you're not soaking up as much knowledge as you can, get away from the chatter. Get away from Trump changing the Lake Ontario to friggin' Lake America. Get away from that for a little while. and get us some things that actually give you value to a crew. I kind of dig that. Basic communication. I want to touch on something about communication. This is something that that was a realization of mine. I went and bought that fancy radio because somebody told me I needed it on YouTube. I'm like, this is the greatest radio ever. So I got to get this radio. It's a handheld. It's great. And then I got it, and I was so baffled and confused because I didn't have the knowledge to work it. And then I thought to myself, I'm not an expert at my bail thing. What am I doing? Why am I buying this? Send it back to Amazon. Learn
that you don't have anybody to talk to.
Well, that's true. That is true. I know. I got to pay you to hang out with me on Thursday nights. This sucks. Water purification, something you need to learn. Shelter building, I don't know. Maybe if you're going to go on alone, you might need to learn how to build a shelter, but at least know how to put a tarp up, right?
Yeah. I would say with this, something that gets overlooked a lot is, and this works in two different ways, but get 5 to 10 friends together and pool your money and have an instructor come instruct you. If everybody got $50 or $100, you could have an incredible pistol or carbine or trauma class. I mean, an incredible session. That's a lot of money to bring somebody in for a 1 to 2 day course. If you pull it together, plus you're building your community, right? Because you're experiencing things together. You're finding out where people are strong and weak. And it's just great for the team concept too.
Agreed. And I guess the learning point for this slide guy, gear without knowledge is just stuff. Reminds me of something Wes Hightower tells me, that tactics beats gear every time, right? And tactics is a learned knowledge, right? So we'll ask the question, what do I think about prepping for my furry family? I have to prep for them. You know, no different than if I had than my daughter. I'm not comparing my daughter to my dogs. I'm not doing that at all. But my dogs are part of the family, right? So if my daughter is not prepared, if I know that she's going to show up at the MAG AO and she's not going to have anything, guess whose responsibility it is to provide for that? So what's that mean? Maybe less bourbon and less of this and more food, water, and stuff like that. They're part of the family. Well, so you got to prepare for them. One thing I haven't brought to our place is all the dog food we have. So that's one thing. The leader of our group is like, you need to start doing that. And he's 100% right.
Well, that's a benefit too. You think about the morale and whatever that animal is, the morale that, and it gives you some sanity. There's a protective measure there. Whether it's a dog or a goat or whatever, they are all serve a great purpose. So if things are that bad that we have to bail on our animals, you'll bail on your animal. So just plan that you're gonna keep them, buy a little bit of dog food once a year, buy 1 extra bag or something. That stuff lasts forever.
Look, my dogs have a hierarchy of when I'm starving, which one goes first.
Yeah.
Like little Barack, he goes first. Like, I'm going to eat him, hold me over for a little bit. And then it goes to Sawyer and then Remy. I just know this is going to happen. It's no big deal.
I just had this vision of you sitting on the ground, holding your pup, knowing that you're going to starve because you can't eat it.
Yeah, I know. You're probably right. It'll be like that.
I'm just waiting on the cast iron frying pan to come in from the side where Melissa bangs you upside the head.
Oh, I kept her dog on life support for 10 days, so I think she knows where I
stand. Wife is like, we're going to eat you first, Pete. Sorry, right. Dogs are staying.
So gear without skills is just stuff, right? And knowledge multiplies the value of your gear. So a couple questions for the audience. You own a compass. Can you shoot an azimuth? You own a tourniquet. Can you apply it correctly and operate with it on? You own a generator. Can you maintain that generator? You own a water filter. Have you ever actually used it? You own a radio. Have you ever tried to communicate with anybody outside of your AO with it? These are questions we need to ask ourselves. So most valuable preparedness skill is learned for free, I think. Anyway, next slide. I know we're running late. You have $100. This is your $100 challenge, chat. This is that part of the group chat where you have $100. You got water, food, medical, light, fire, communications, and other. What are you going to apply? $10 on water, $20 on food. Tell me in chat, what are you going to do? We're going to, this is your $100 starter kit. What are you prioritizing? That's what I want to know right now. Russ, we'll start with you. What are you doing?
Let me think about this real quick.
You're just starting out. You're just starting out. You're $100.
No prepping at all.
Nothing.
We'll go 20, 40, 20, that's $80, and $5 a piece for the other. And that leaves me $5, which I'd probably put on more water.
Yeah, I like it. What are you prioritizing there, T?
Priority, I'm probably going to have to do 20 to 30 on medical because it's not cheap to get some decent stuff, right? $5 on water because I can buy 5 gallons of water for $5 and reuse the jugs. Food, let's do probably 10 to 15 bucks. In rice and beans all day. And then light and fire, it's going to cost a little bit more with a cheap light flashlight with batteries. And then ferro rod and some tinder. Communication, I'm gonna say $10 to buy some crappy Motorola's off of Facebook Marketplace.
Yeah, exactly right. So I'm prioritizing water. I'm going food next. I'm probably going to go fire next, medical, comm, and others after that. Some people in chat are saying they're buying $100 water filter. What are you going to eat? You're going to eat that filter when you're done?
Yeah.
Right. You're starting from scratch. You're going to buy $100 water filter. And then next thing you know, you could have bought a Sawyer for $12 on Amazon.
I will say, this is why I'm big on the thrifting and all that. I got one of the smaller, I think it's a 3-liter, 4-liter Berkeley for $55 on Facebook Marketplace. It was like brand new.
Yep.
Yeah.
So to whoever said that, that's a way of getting there. It's not having to spend the $100. Still got $50 to spend on the other stuff. If that's a priority, and there's nothing wrong with that. But find a better way of doing it so you're not coming up short with the other stuff.
Right. Will says he's putting comms last. No, there's nothing wrong with that. And I always go back to what Alan. I always go back to what Alan Kay says. What's going to kill me first?
Yeah.
Right. That's So I don't know. What else we got there? Food. Let's see. 50. Who says 100? Someone said $100 on communications.
Patrick 7.
Yeah,
he's going to buy 36 Balfangs.
Who are you gonna talk to while you're starving and got no water? You got 3 days. You got 3 days to talk to somebody. Well,
he's gonna get 5 or 6. Yeah, he's gonna get 5 or 6 Bowfangs given to all the people that have plenty of stuff, and then he's gonna call them to bring him some stuff to eat and drink.
You know which one I'm laughing at?
He's onto something. He's onto something.
You got hobby. But Jerry said $30 water, $30 food, 10 each on everything else.
Yeah, I like it. It's a good answer. And everything, guys, look, there are variables that are changing your answer. Do you have kids? Do you have elderly family? Do you have medical conditions? What's your climate? You have an apartment versus a rural home? Are you in hurricane country? Prioritizing, right? I don't know. Let's see what else we got here. Budget. Oh, yeah, this is what I love here. I'm gonna throw one of my group members under the bus here too. Mistakes. I'm speaking of 100. I plan on doing $100. Good. Yeah, you told us that. I want to know how that goes, and I want you to video it. Patrick's going to do a $100 Dollar General Store challenge with his son. Panic buying. I see this a lot. Panic buying. There's a guy in our group, Russ, that he bought. If you tell him that if you say, listen, gravity's gonna stop for 9 seconds, he's buying the latest and greatest gravity shoes that NASA has to offer to stick them to the surface, and he's buying 10 pair because he wants everybody to have one, right? And he's, I don't know this, but don't go in debt just to prepare, right?
Yeah.
And then we talk about survival food, right? Your family's not going to eat that. They'll eat it if that's their last chance. But how do you rotate that stuff? Now it's 20 years shelf life. I get that. But in the best case scenario, your kid's going to have to do something with it after the day after you die, and she doesn't know what the hell to do with it. She just chunks it out and sells it at a garage sale for $5 a bucket.
You just shouldn't start there. I mean, I have some. I have that MREs, but I hope I never have to open that crap because I know how it tastes. You know what I mean? So, you buy the good food and rotate through it, and then, you're not wasting your money. At some point, if you come across a good deal, which is what I wait for, is a good sale, then you buy a couple boxes of 25-year shelf life because you can throw it in your car, or it's there if it gets that bad. You could leave it at a cabin or wherever else. Yeah. And you could always eat it when you're camping too. So
right. And that's usually when I do eat some of that stuff. Yeah. And I throw a bucket or two in the RV when I'm traveling, like worst case scenario.
Yeah, on the road. Yeah, it's light.
Right. Yeah. One of the other mistakes we make, and I talked to you guys about my radio purchase, is I never really test or become an expert at my equipment. So I buy something, it goes on the shelf, I never touch it, it's still in the box, and then I wonder why when shit hits the fan and a flood happens in North Carolina because of a hurricane, I open up my radio and I don't know how to program it or talk to anybody, right? Guys, test your equipment. And don't forget to store and rotate your equipment. And if it's on sale, my wife does this a lot. She'll drive 50 miles because a pair of socks is on sale, spending $30 in gas to save $5. You didn't save money, you spent money.
It's right? The journey, Pete. It's the journey.
Yeah. I don't like my money journeying. I like it to stay in my pocket, right? And not to throw Miss Melissa under the bus because she is frugal on something.
But the buying something just because it's on sale, especially if it's food related. I mean, Julie and Roy are a perfect example of that. They will tell you, don't do that. They sit there and they bought green beans or green peas or something like that, and they had a phenomenal sale on them, but neither one of them eat them.
Yeah.
So they're giving them away as Christmas presents.
100%. I do have a note here that is interesting to me. It says credit card debt creates vulnerability. Yeah, we're all worried about the government. We're worried about data centers, guys. We're worried about everybody knowing all of our information, but we don't have any problem using our credit card, telling the whole world what we bought with that credit card, and then putting ourselves in debt. So we have to work until our fingers turn to dust. Debt creates vulnerability. So kind of makes sense to me when I wrote it down anyway. Mm-hmm. Slide 10, prep of the week. This is my prep of the week for the chatters. Everybody watching, I'm telling you what the prep of the week is going to be next week. Spend $10 to $25 improving one weakness in your preparedness. $10 to $25. Or spend no money and learn one survival skill. And I'm going to add to that, spend no money and do some type of physical activity. Right? Let's do that. And then at the end of that, when you're all happy about yourself, ask yourself, am I better prepared today than I was yesterday or last week? Do that because that's the prep of the week. So when you tell me that you bought 300 rounds of freedom seeds because they were on sale, and I ask you how many did you have, and is that what you were lacking the most of because you've got all the water, the food, the shelter, the fire, the light, and everything else you need, and you tell me no, I'm going to say, well, I'm just going to say you're a dumbass, Russ. I'm just going to call him a dumbass.
Yeah.
I'm just going to call a spade a spade. So that's next week's challenge. Preparedness is built through planning, priorities, consistency, skill, and time. Time's the big thing, guys. Time's even going through doing this. I was up. I don't know why this podcast was on my mind this morning. I woke up at 4:00 and I worked through the day for most of the day to try to work on this podcast because somebody had asked me to do it. So time is a big thing. If you have the ability to learn something, don't sit on the couch. Go learn it. Right? I know nobody wants to do that. I get it. I understand. It's energy, right? Energy in, energy out, right? But time's the biggest thing. That's what makes most of these groups fail. Most of this discussion tonight was found on survivalsullivan.com, preparing on a budget and how to get started. Go check out his website. I reached out to him to make sure it was okay to reference him and all of this stuff. He was good to go. And maybe we're going to get him on one time to talk about some other things. But check out his website. It's kind of awesome. That's it, Russ. That's all I got. You know what time it is. It's time for
It's
this.
that time.
It's time for this week's Prep of the Week.
I'm going first. Because I got cool that I found, and it's not quite Gucci gear. It's actually something I needed. I got on Amazon for $20. I got this little cool gadget I can put on my gear, and I couldn't make it. I tried to make one of these, Russ.
Mm-hmm.
It cost me a lot more than $20 to make it, just in propane. But $20, Amazon. That's my prep of the week. I needed one up here. I forgot my pocket knife in Florida, so I got this, which I can conceal in my pocket on my belt. Cool. That's my prep of the week. What do you got, Russ?
Me, I upgraded some medical supplies. I now have a set of crutches to add to my inventory. There turns out there was a small fracture in my leg, so they have me on crutches for the next 4 to 6 weeks. So I'm going to be practicing trying to bug out with crutches on.
Gotcha. There you go. T, did you do anything this week? Now you're spending a little bit of time with your family the next couple of days, which is a prep in itself and a lot of work, but probably one of the most rewarding things we can do.
For sure. So a couple of things. We have these, the big hefty food barrels that you get. They're usually white, come in different shapes. They have a seal in there. So I've changed out all the seals, cleaned all those out to make sure they stay watertight. And tomorrow I'm putting up some new solar lights on the chicken coop. And my daughter was at a horse lesson the other day and fell off the horse. So my wife was able to find out if she was ready to help out, because the horse place was not quite ready for somebody falling out. She's good, but wasn't quite ready. So it's, again, one of those regular life instances where we worry about the boogeyman flying out of a UFO and, tag teaming us with Bigfoot. And, and you have regular life stuff. And if you just have a little medical kit in your car, you can make the difference and make the kid happy, so to speak. And you rely on somebody else doesn't always work out. So, it's been good to be home and help out, but just maintenance stuff.
Yeah, I like it. Let's go through the preps of the week, and then I'm going to try to answer some of these pinned comments we have in here when that's done. Let's roll through those, Russ.
All right. So Diana, what did she say? She tried out some of her older electronics, found one that was no longer working.
Yeah, testing your equipment, right?
Testing
Good thing.
your
We just went over that. I like it. P7 says, what do we got there for P7? Got them. P7 says, working on a transmission of an old Suburban, moved it to a place nearby where it can stay safe, and packed it full of preps. I have, a little mobile cache. I like it.
Yep.
I like it. T, what do you got? It's a long one.
Woo! Yeah, man. Y'all need to give me ones with pictures. Patrick 7 said, spoke with local fire departments, and I'm getting a group together from work to go to a free Stop the Bleed CPR and trauma class. Most fire departments will do these for free, so look into your local area. Nice. I like it. That's what we talked about earlier. Free
Let's
chicken.
see what else we got. Let's see. That's $50 parts. Good. That's it for the preps of the week. Oh, we got one. Will's got one here. No, Battle Gnome's got one.
Yeah.
Russ, go ahead.
Got uninterrupted power supplies installed on the network equipment at the house. Just because your power is out does not mean that the cable internet service is down.
Good point. And that's remember that happened this year or last year on my podcast.
Yep.
Our power went out. I had to go run a cord from my generator in the RV.
In the RV, yep. That was last
And
year.
the fiber optic was still working. So that's a great point. Let's see. Rev says his prep of the week is he bought new Kydex holster for his carry. I was using Uncle Mike's, but it got too sweaty. Outstanding. Guys, remember your prep of the week next week. I'm a hammer you on some of these. T, there's a short one for you, buddy.
Wow, thank you. Getting home safely after 6 weeks of tour of the USA. Good. I love when people get out.
With a new air conditioner in his camper, because they lost their air conditioner when we were up in Montana, and then they went to Colorado and all the way to Arizona with no AC. So
I don't think he was telling us his prep. I think he was just kind of rubbing it in our face that he was on a 6-week vacation. Whatever.
Go ahead, Russ.
Will says this week was resupplies of food. He's been depleting his reserves.
Mm-hmm. Here's a this is actually Kelly, Man Crush Kelly
Good.
spent some money on Narcan, not for opium heads, but for others poisoned by others. Yeah.
Yep. They found that in Colorado, I believe, where he picked it up at, if I remember him telling me correctly.
There's another short one for you, T.
Extensive medical tune-up.
So this is Jerry from Second Wind Adventures. You know him as Real Comms most of the time. He had a procedure done. He had a lengthy discussion with Miss Melissa about it because the procedure he had done was her specialty back in the day. And luckily, somehow he just got the best doctor that money could buy. Good. And it all worked out good for him.
Good.
Egghead Russ, you got this one.
Yep. He got 2 safe racks installed in his garage. Gives him lots more storage capacity.
I like it. Let's look back at some of these.
Yeah, there's one from Will. He was talking about the beef, and I won't disagree with him on the price of beef. We were in Marketplace up in Rice Lake yesterday, and I went looking at steaks. Ribeye and bone-in ribeyes were $20 a pound. That's absolutely ridiculous. But Will, what you can do is find you a local farmer and find you other local like-minded people and go in together. A quarter of beef will last you most of a year, because I know a half of beef will last me and Teresa for a year.
Russ Wills from my neck of the woods. Will, I'm going to tell you, look up Barton Beef. Jeremy Barton runs that. He's local in our area. He's a good old boy. Went to medic school with him. See if he can't cut you a deal for 20 pounds of ground beef or whatever. Grab that 20 pounds of ground beef when you get a chance. Come over to the house. Miss Melissa will pressure can it for you, and you're going to be good to go.
Well, and not only
so
that.
Local suppliers, yes.
Yeah, definitely. Local suppliers. And yes, you may be paying $10, $15 a pound for ground beef, but you're only paying $10, $15 a pound, or whatever the current price is. You're paying the same thing for a T-bone steak as you are for ground beef. But it is what it is. It's still going to be a little cheaper if you work out the prices right.
Yep. Will says he's looking for a Jack's bow from a loan. All right. Tell me that next week, Will, and I'll tell you how I feel about it.
Yeah, I got yeah.
Let's see. Went to a yard sale. Oh, this is kind of a prep of the week here. Went to yard sale, found bars of bath soap, $10 a bar, bought all of them, candle. Yeah, yard sales. Oh, we're saving money already. I like it. All right, T, we're gonna let you lead us out of here. Sorry, guys, we went long, but we're gonna we'll make it up next week. We'll do egghead next week.
Again, thanks for having me on, you guys, and always get to learn something, and hopefully you guys get to learn something from me too. Make an effort this week to get better. If you aren't somebody that walks, get out and walk a little bit. If you are a walker, speed it up a little bit, go a little bit further, and just remain mentally strong. Be positive, make it all worth it. That's all I got.
Well, guys, great topic tonight, Pete. I think it was well timed, especially given the state of our economy. Guys, do what you can with what you got. Remember Pete's challenge that he's going to be talking about here again? $25 or no dollars. Tell us what you're doing next week. Pete, that's all I got, brother.
All right, guys, let's set the record straight. First and foremost, that picture of me on the internet was not AI generated. That was actually me at the gym. And the reason I posted it, because my buddy Jody, retired from the fire department, he was squatting or doing some deadlifts or something. He's trying to get in shape also. So iron sharpens iron, right? I see he's doing it. I'm going to do it. Next week, maybe he comes out doing something different. So we're holding each other accountable for our fitness prep. Guys, I know that that death by PowerPoint sucks. I get it. I understand. And I wasn't prepared to do this podcast until last night. Now, when someone asked me to do it, and Russ is right, it is timely and it's something to think about. And how do we get started? How do we stop using the excuse that we don't have money to be prepared? And when do we come to the realization that we like hanging out with the preparedness group, but maybe we're not into preparedness so much, but they sure are fun to hang out with around the fire pit, right? No, take it seriously. Your family depends on it. And any man out there or head of the household out there, not even going to say man, I'm going to say head of the household that has children and stuff like that. If you're not taking it seriously, shame on you. But at the end of the day, those are only my opinions, not Alpha 42's or Broken Spokes Productions. That's just Pete's opinion. At the end of the day, be safe, guys. If you can't be safe, well, be dangerous. Thanks for watching the Eden Army podcast. Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button. And remember, be safe. If you can't be safe, be dangerous.